We're in Austin, Texas, at Woolbridge Park. I think there's a rally here today, organized by Austin DSA, asking likely to preserve democracy, is what the title of the Facebook event reads. Thanks.
Nobody looks like he's going to win, which is better than Donald Trump, but he's not good enough. And Democrats failed to take back the Senate, and they failed to win any seats in the House. We can do better. We can do better. Millions and millions of people are being politicized very rapidly and very radically because of the incredibly poor conditions of this country. There are 50 million unemployed people. We're still out here wearing masks. There's no vaccine and all that. There's plenty of money for scientific research. There's plenty of money to keep everyone whole. Has anyone here been unemployed during the pandemic? Has anyone here not gotten medical care during the pandemic? Yeah, that's the lives of way too many millions of people, and that's totally wrong. So before this event starts, I just wanted to say that to keep it going, regular people have a role in making decisions over our lives. Working class people do all the work that it takes to make this country run, build all the buildings, run all the schools, all that, and we deserve a say. You don't just deserve to vote for Biden over Trump or whatever. We deserve to have a real meaningful say in spreading the wealth that this country generates and making sure that each of us has a dignified life. It's not a very radical proposition, but no political party in this country is going to fight for that. That's why you should join DSA. If you think that there should be health care for everyone, if you think it's a total shame in this country, in this city, that there are people sleeping out on the street, it does not have to be this way. The Democratic Party is not the one that's saying it doesn't have to be this way. It's only the Democratic Party of America and other wonderful groups. But not the parties in this country. It's a major problem. It's taking a long time to solve. But DSA has made tremendous gains. We elected AOC. We supported the teacher strikes and other major strikes that have roiled all over this country. We've made Medicare for All one of the biggest issues in this country. No one in the political establishment wanted Medicare for All to be a big deal, and now everyone knows that the reason why they don't have health insurance, or the reason they pay too much for health insurance, or the reason they've been denied medical care, is because big corporations make money off of them needing health care. That's wrong. Society has outlived the need to suck profit out of everything. We don't need that anymore. We need a humane society where everyone has a say in how their lives are run. It's a very simple message. That's why I joined DSA. Since then in Austin, since I joined in Austin, we fought for paid sick days, which passed at City Hall. We got a Democratic Congress member, Lloyd Doggett, to sign up for Medicare for All, or sign up for the Medicare for All bill, which he didn't want to do. It took 18 months of pressure and working with unions like TSU. This is the route it takes. Regular people have a role in expanding democracy. And not just expanding democracy for its own sake, but for the sake of all of us having secure lives. Who feels like totally secure? Who feels like they're going to live to 90 and not have any worries ever? No one's hand is up, except one guy, just for you. Everyone in this country and in this world deserves the right to be born and feel like, oh, I can flourish as a human. What does that take? That takes education, it takes healthcare, it takes right to a good job. It takes a planet that is not going to be roiled over by climate change. What I'm saying right now is common sense, but it's not the message that Democrats ran on, and it's why they underperform. We can change that. Okay, that's it. So there are people here wearing red shirts, many of which say DSA on them. If you want to talk to them about questions you might have about socialism, it's the future. There's no other future. The future under capitalism is climate apocalypse. And we don't like it doesn't need to be that way. Alright. Also I have these DSA masks if anyone wants them. Very nice.
How's it going?
Lunch tomorrow?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Coffee House has great cheeseburgers. Are you live right now?
Yes.
We're gonna figure out how we're gonna handle lunch.
Yeah, no, we'll talk about it. It's all.
I'll be here a while.
Yeah, I'll be here a while too. So.
Ain't nothing.
No, I've recovered significantly since. Thankfully, it went away rather quickly, but it was pretty pronounced for a while.
Yeah. Pissed me off. All right, get to work.
All right, thanks. So that was Austin, DSA, Democratic Socialists of America. They hosted an event that started at around 3:30. I believe they marched around the block from 4 o'clock to about now when they came back. As I observed them coming back, they had police behind them. Looks like they were on the street, and there are still some street cops standing on the side of the street. Bicycle cops standing on the side of the street. I guess waiting to see if this group will get back on the street, but I doubt that'll be the case because there's a rally right behind us going on, being hosted by the Austin Justice Coalition. So, doing well, guys. In case you're wondering, thank you for your concern, your good wishes, and above all else, your support for not necessarily me, but the idea that we can achieve some sort of unbiased, fair journalism that shows the full picture, and does so in a way that encourages the people watching to form their own opinion. You know what I mean? This is not about me, but rather just getting good information out there. So, tensions right now, guys. I can't imagine tensions being any worse. Especially with how close this election is. I think that there are still no clear winners, as far as I've been informed, and I've kept up with the news. Here, let me see if I could talk to this individual really quickly. Hi, Montserrat. How are you? I'm doing well. How's it been going? A lot of work. Hi, how's it going? I'm doing well. So I don't know if you know, but right now, like, I'm live on Facebook. I have a journalism page. I hope you might have come across it at some point. Nonetheless, though, do you mind if I ask you a few questions? Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Sounds good. Yeah. Right here's fine. So could you tell us what's happening today? I know that AJC's hosting a rally right down here, right? And then we just had a march come down from the block. I got here just as they arrived, so.
Organizations got together and had this rally to make sure that every vote is counted. It's really important for our democracy that every vote is counted. So we got together, and that's what we're demanding, that in order for our democracy to keep being the democracy that it is, that every vote is counted.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I really agree that, and there's a lot of patience behind that, especially during the pandemic, with all the mail-in ballots and stuff. There's so much information going around, and, first and foremost, I think I would encourage people to, be patient as these votes are being counted. Things are so, tense, but uncertain still.
If we were willing to use our mask and go and send our votes, I think the most important thing is that we are patient, because we know that it's going to be a process for every vote to be counted.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we need to do as a community, and as part of our democracy, we need to wait to make sure that our votes are counted. So I ask everyone in our communities to hold on. We're not going to know who the president is right away like we used to. So we just got to wait, be patient, and hopefully Biden will take the presidency in the next few days.
Of course. Any last comments? Anything you want to tell people about what they can do while they're at home, or if they should come out and join some of these rallies and stuff?
Well, the first thing is that people need to keep getting educated, not to forward emails and things that are creating fear, because that's not the case. We just want to make sure that our democracy is in place, and we want to make sure that our votes are counted. As a naturalized U.S. citizen, the reason why I became a citizen was because I wanted to vote.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that my vote gets counted, and I don't care if I have to wait a few weeks, a few months. As long as my vote gets counted, I'm willing to wait and to be patient.
Awesome. Thank you, Montserrat. I really appreciate it. You have a beautiful day. Yes, ma'am. Did you have something to say?
No, we're good.
Okay, awesome. Have a good day. So, yeah, some of the sentiment being shared here. I definitely encourage, again, patience with these elections. I'm trying to keep up with all media sources, and God, there's so much uncertainty going around, and that's just because of how unique this year has been. It's been one for the books. So currently, there aren't too many people here. I observe and I calculate that there's about maybe 70 to 80 people out here today. And there's an event going on right down there, as you might be able to see, at the Woolbridge Park little stage. Woolbridge Park is in downtown Texas, Austin, Texas, really close to the Capitol and City Hall. It's a good little midway point between two very important buildings. So, hello. Oh, thanks. So, let's see if I could go around and maybe ask some questions to some of the people that are here. I'm getting used to using this gimbal, guys. Remember, I'm really not used to using any of this equipment. Don't have the same phone I was streaming with before. Not even the same, microphone. Everything's different, so excuse me if it's a little wobbly or awkward at times. And if the audio's no good, please let me know as well. Again, I'm just learning to use just some of the backup equipment I've had that I've just haven't had enough practice with. That monopod was my right hand. Hi guys, how are you? That's awesome to hear. I don't know if you know who I am. My name is Hiram, and I have a Facebook page where I do independent journalism. Essentially all I do is just go wherever, people have a voice and try to, just put that on the page in a way that's, organic, I'd say. And I don't know if you guys were willing, maybe if I could ask you a few questions, that would be awesome. This all goes live to my Facebook page, and right now we're at 50 viewers, so it's not too crazy today. Yeah. So I think I'm gonna try doing kind of like a selfie style thing, because I'm used to having a microphone usually, and I recently had an incident and lost a hold of some of my property that helped me do these interviews. So,
oh dear.
So I wanted to ask what brought you out here today. First and foremost, were you a part of the march?
Yes.
Or were you here for the rally?
Yes, we did the whole march. My friend Cindy, this is her first day on her walker here, so and it's very hard to sit at home the anxiety is just way too much, and it feels really good to be out doing stuff. I've been an activist all my life, and I kind of missed out on most of the Black Lives Matter march because I figured it was really important to stay alive till election day.
Yeah, I know, right? And it's, you know, and it's scary because like these COVID cases are surging up again.
Yes.
You know,
yes,
and especially in cities like El Paso.
Right.
Yeah.
And, I'm not a youngster anymore, so you can definitely have a little more worries about that.
Man, and what to you's been different about this election than other years? I know that by
Well,
now, on any other day, we would have known who would have won, right? I mean, on any other year.
That's true. But I don't know. The last 4 years have just been such a nightmare. It's been horrible, absolutely horrible. Just to see our democracy trashed, to see children in cages, just turns my stomach. You know, I feel, as a Jew, I feel like I'm living through Germany in 1930, and it's terrifying. And so we've got to do everything we can to stop this monster. You know, I will be out here every day until this nightmare is over.
Yeah. And to you, like, what does the fact that this race is so close tell you about the country's political climate?
That's the most horrifying piece of it. That this man, that it's even close, is just that there's something, I don't know. I just feel like, how can you register 2 million new voters? How can we stand in lines all over Texas and not have it do the trick, you know? I can't, you know, and I don't like to speculate. I am not believing in conspiracy theories, but something in my gut really does not feel right about it.
Yeah.
You know, I do think we're experiencing the red mirage. I think once all the votes are counted, it's not really going to be close at all. But it is. It's just a freaking nightmare. And the idea that we could have 4 more years of this, it's just. We can't even leave the country. We can't even go to Canada. You know, that was like my escape plan, right? I was going to go to Canada. I have some really dear friends up near the Quebec-Ontario border, but we can't even leave the countries. Our passports are worthless.
Yeah.
You know, there's no escape. So all we can do is stay here and fight, you know, and fight for our democracy and fight for equal justice for all of us, and to fight for a future. I'm so concerned about my kids and my grandkids and my unborn great-grandkids. You know, we have such a little bit of time to really change things, you know, so that we have an environment that we can survive in.
Yeah.
And if we have 4 more years of this, we will have lost our window of opportunity. Not to mention, things will be so far gone, I don't even know how we'll begin to put it together. You know, it's just...
I see. Yeah. Man, and what to you was maybe one of the biggest threats, you know, in this election? Like, what were you most afraid could happen if things didn't turn out, you know, in Biden's favor? Or, if they don't, I'm not saying they have, because they haven't. If they don't turn out in Biden's favor, what's your biggest concern?
Oh, God, it's... Where do you start? You know, we have a Justice Department that has become a complete injustice department. You know, I'm really worried about. I'm worried about the immigrants. You know, they're going after. They're talking about doing away with. You know, every protection for. You know, they'll be shipping out all. You know, I have dear friends that are Haitians, and I really worry about what's going to happen to them. You know, and just the idea that. You know, who are they coming for next? I mean, really, you know, I mean, this guy thinks that it's okay to run people off the road, that's patriotism, you know, and he has no qualms about building the camps for us. So, you know, I mean, I think my greatest fear is full-on fascism. That's my greatest fear about not winning this election.
Yeah. Well, that was really interesting, and I really appreciate your insight. Is there anything else you'd like to leave with? Anything you'd like to tell people watching at home something like a short piece of advice or whatever you have in mind.
Where there's life, there's hope. And we have to, yeah.
Stand up for the vote.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You guys, this conversation has been great. I hope you have a beautiful day.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Of course. So, it's going well. How are you?
It's good to see you, man.
Good to see you too, man.
Staying healthy.
Yeah. I'm gonna
Go ahead, knock it
check it out. It's down there. So, there are now closer to probably 100 people now. Before there's probably closer to 60, 70. So about 20 more people have shown up. I'll show you what it looks like. Someone tell me when they call the results for Michigan. I have no way to check. And I've been keeping up with these elections pretty religiously. So we're in Woolridge Park, Austin, Texas. Downtown Austin, Texas. In between the Capitol building, which you see in the background there, and City Hall. This is AJC's event. This is an event hosted by AJC. Gosh darn it. I cannot think of the name right now of this event, the title. Let me see if I could ask somebody here. I had it in my head. It's just there's 3 separate events happening at this exact time. What? What is today's? Oh, I'm sorry. What is today's event called?
Ask
AJC. I had it.
There are 2 events.
Yeah, there are 2 events, and I'm just I can't for the life of me remember the name of this specific rally. I'll figure it out.
That's your job.
Thanks. Yeah, of course. Rally to defend democracy. There you go. We got it, guys. So, again, still so much to go before we have any certainty of the election results.
If y'all want to get closer, I think we're family. If you want to get closer.
So let me see if I could ask some other folks some questions. Well, actually, it looks like this is about to start. So let's see what the speakers have to say.
How everybody feeling? Y'all look tired. Y'all should be a little bit more. Well, I don't. We still don't know yet. But
Chaz Moore is at the stage.
good evening, everybody. Good evening. I want to thank. I forgot the name of the other group that was here earlier. Anybody know? Check the results. Protect the results. I want to give a shout out to them for coming out early. Give it up for them and everybody that was in the streets. Also, shout out DSA for providing community security. That's what we need as we no longer rely on the other systems that we know don't work. So shout out to them. If Gabby asks you to speak, I'm gonna ask you to come sit to my left, so you can just be ready. There's so much shit to say. So I'm gonna say a little bit of what needs to be said, with no hopes that our aspirations are sounding like a Debbie Downer, but we just have to be honest about where we are. So right now, Joe Biden has 264 electoral votes. It looks like he's gonna win Nevada. That deserves a round of applause. But it's a couple things I want to highlight about this particular election. We see the amazing turnout that Trump had, which, to me, in my opinion, is a reflection of who we still are as a country, regardless of who we think we are. The fact that over 68 million people, 67 million people have voted for Trump is something that I think we should be concerned about. And I think it's something that we have to really consider as we move forward. Now, all of us here, albeit not perfect, we have hope and we have this idea that we can get to a better place in this particular society. And I would beg to differ because this election has shown us that if you look at the maps like I have all night, like many of us probably went to sleep at like 4 or 5 a.m. I think we can draw the conclusion that sundown towns are still real. We see many people in middle America, we see how they vote, we see how they feel. The fact that we've had 4 years of blatant racism, misogyny, homophobia, people are still overwhelmingly voting for this.
I need to grab my gear before I lose it.
The fact that the blue wave did not really hit the shores of Texas means that a lot of the things that we want to do in Texas are still going to be very difficult to do, which means that in 2 years, right, we have to come out and do this thing again. That's absolutely important. And I think the key thing is this, like, no matter who won, as a black person, it really didn't matter because, like I said yesterday on a call with Greg and Sarah and all these amazing folks, white supremacy is not a ballot issue. Homophobia and transphobia, misogyny and sexism are not ballot issues. Those are issues that we have to look internally and deal with. There would never be an election to vote away racism in the past horrors of this country. That is something that we, and when I mean we, I do mean the collective, but I'm looking at my white brothers and sisters. It's still a lot of work to be done. And a lot of us thought that, the generation is getting younger white folks are coming out. And we saw that, I think about 40% of young white adults voted for Trump. So that lets me know that we might be reiterating Jim Crow and all these things if we're not doing the work, the inner work that we need to do to eradicate ourselves of white supremacy, racism, and all these things that won't allow us to be great like the other side think we already are. And no matter if Biden wins, and it looks like he's gonna win, tomorrow the police institutions around the world are still gonna exist. There are people still in prison. There are people that want to roll back our anti-homelessness laws. People are still going to be gentrified. Black women are still going to die at the highest rate for giving birth just because they don't get the proper health care that they need. People with disabilities are not going to get the rights and the justice they deserve. So the issues are going to remain no matter who wins anywhere. And as much as we love the sister pack, AOC and Ayanna Pressley, and we have some amazing people that are finally being in positions of power to represent us, a lot of the work, I would say all of the work depends on us. Right? The fact remains true that because I'm black, my life is extremely at more risk if I come into an interaction with a police officer than many of my white brothers and sisters. Even here in Austin, we have Jimmy Flanagan, who's been really good. He's losing potentially to somebody that was in that picture with the Proud Boys. We're not losing, but he's going to go to a runoff. So we have to make sure that we're getting out in Jimmy Flanagan's district. Allison Alser is another person who's been really good, and she's voted for police reform and the defunding. She's also going to a runoff. We kept our comrade Greg Casar on by a lot. That deserves a round of applause.
Yeah.
But the fact remains that we still have so much work to do, and that work is going to come only if we continue to build and grow together. That's the only way we get to where we want to get. And hopefully we can get to a place where we don't even have two parties. Let's just get rid of the parties. Like, because it's really not about red or blue. It's about white, and I say white and white supremacy. That is the enemy. The fact that we have this large number of Latinos voting for Trump as he's locking people of Latin and Spanish and Mexican descent up in borders shows me that we still, and black men too, black men have voted very scarily for Trump because we still are ascribing to the ideals of white supremacy, which is one of the problems in the Democratic platform. They just want us to be a little bit more white. They have not done a good job of reaching out to people of color and to women and to trans folks and queer folks to make sure that our voices and our issues are heard. So my challenge for you all today, and I love a small crowd because I have a little bit less chance of offending too many people, is that you continue to do the work. And I know, like, this election year, like, this is, I think we have a new term called election anxiety, and that's not something that should exist in a democratic nation. But I'm asking you all to rest, and like I said on Facebook, rest, read a book, watch Frasier, whatever that Office, whatever you need to watch. Y'all know I love Frasier if you ever heard me talk. Do yoga, cry, write, journal, whatever you need to do, but we have to continue doing the work because the other side is already aiming up to do that. It's a building right down the street that writes laws and policies and legislation. We have to be ready to engage with them in a very serious way to make sure that our voices, our wants are going to be met. Because again, and I have to reiterate, over 50 million, over 60 million, 65 million people outright voted for a racist, misogynistic, transphobic, homophobic guy. I thought before today, and I will apologize for this because I've said this before, I thought the good guys and good gals and good folks outweighed the bad side, but we're split almost right down the middle about who we are as a country. And we must. It's the only way we're going to get to where we need to go. We have to lean in together. We have to be willing to allow people to grow and change. We can't be like them. And this is not a course in civility, but we have to be willing to convert people from the other side because they are wrong. This is not an opinion anymore. If anybody you know voted for Trump, it might be time to draw a line in the sand. Because anybody that votes for Trump has let you know that they do not care about black people. They do not care about real radical criminal justice reform. They care about the police. They believe in the justification of every shooting that police have done against black bodies in this country. They believe that people that are immigrants are rightfully locked up in cages at the borders. They believe in a wall. At some point, we have to start saying, you know what? No, we're not that. We can't tolerate that. And we have to be better. And we have to be louder. I think that's one problem with our side, the good side, the right side. Like, those guys are so loud and proud and wrong, you almost have to applaud it. Like, they will literally get on a microphone and tell you the sky's orange and believe it. So we have to be louder with our love. We have to be louder with our radicalism, if that's a word. And we have to be louder with our unity. There are a lot of black people that told me they wasn't coming out today, but they supported because they did not feel safe. Because we just saw the picture with APD taking a picture with the Proud Boys. Like, that's not an opinion, that's a fact. Black people do not feel protected. In a large part, I'm not saying all. So what are we willing to do? And I ask you this every time I talk to a group of people. What are we willing to do? Like, seriously, voting is great, but what are you willing to give up and relinquish so we can truly struggle together? And I think we've been doing some strides, like over the past year, if I may, like, you know, AJC and the Mike Ramos Brigade have put aside our petty differences and been willing to work together on the things we can agree on. DSA and AJC has always had a good relationship. I think it's only going to get better. We're more willing to work with anybody on the side of right because we are all we have. Until we can get to a place where we can have, this whole country should be blue when you think about the ideals of what America is. But there's a fear in white people that if I give up these things, then I'm no longer safe. And maybe that's what we need. Because if one of us are not safe, then none of us are. If one of us are locked up in that jail right behind us, then we all are. If one of us are fighting back against the anti-homeless ban, then they're fighting against all of us. Women are still paying the pink tax in 2020. Women are still not getting paid the same amount for doing a better job than men. Trans folks cannot walk around safely. Queer folks cannot love who they love safely. And that's because, if I'm being honest, we're not doing enough. As we go, like right now, this is not the season finale of House of Cards. We're close. We're real close. This is like the second to last episode. Because Trump has already came out and said, stop counting votes. He's going to court to stop counting votes. He said multiple times that he's not leaving. We might see the first attempt at dictatorship in this country between now and January. That's a very real thought. So we are far from over. And I will offer up the idea that we're just getting started. Because even if Biden does finally get in the White House, we know his track record. We know he is responsible in part for locking up the most black people ever with the '94 crime bill. And you know, Kamala Harris, I love you, black woman, but you too were responsible in your role as prosecutor for locking up a lot of black people in California. So we can't just vote these people in, we have to hold them accountable. Like Yasmin said, a speech she gave a couple months ago at City Hall, no longer can we just sit on the sidelines and think that the players that we voted in to represent us is good enough. We have to coach them through, because these people are not normal people like us. They're not everyday people once they gain political power. And we, the folks that hold the power, can't relinquish it to them. So I know Gabby has speakers, and Gabby and Aisha and the rest of my team, they've done a wonderful job putting this together, so thank them. And give it up for yourself for coming out. Like, I mean, this, you know, we still don't know who our president is. We might not find out till like 2022 at this rate, like, but it doesn't matter, because it's us. We have to continue to build this army of radical, progressive, loving, inclusive people to make sure that not just one of us are safe, but all. And even as a black man, I'll say this before I leave. I have so much hope. And I say this as a Capricorn, so it's kind of paradoxical. I have so much hope in this country. And I have so much hope when I see crowds like this gather. Young and old, black and white, rich and poor. Well, we're probably all poor here, so that. But that gives me hope that we can actually reach this thing we're trying to reach, which is a new world. With no parties. Let's just vote for the right people. No capitalism. No cops. Free health care. If you're hungry, you get food. Everybody gets. I really think we can do that. And that makes me crazy, but that makes you crazy too, because you're clapping and you're here with me. But the only way we do that is by not stopping. I believe in a world where Texas is going to be blue, and we were this close. We were so close, but that doesn't mean stop. That means we have more work to do. So I'm inviting you all in. And I'm not saying, you don't have to sign up for our newsletter. You don't have to sign up with us. You don't have to donate to us. You don't have to become a member. I just want you to enlist in the army of love and what's right as we move forward, because the work is just getting started. And if you truly love black people, if you truly love women, and you truly love the people that have been historically oppressed, I'm asking you to go home and get some rest tonight. And tomorrow, put on your boots and let's hit the streets. And let's keep hitting the streets until we make this country what it's supposed to be. I love each and every one of you. I promise I do. And the road ahead is long, and it's not paved very well. And we may fall and we may stumble, we may get some bruises and some scars. But I promise you, at least I believe that if we keep going, we can get to that place. Nakia Winfield, a couple Wednesdays ago, talked about this utopia of what this country can look like. She said it was filled of like mimosas and samosa and jazz and just people dancing. And I think we can get there. But it doesn't come by any vote. It comes by the hard work and the relationship building that we have to do. It comes by shedding ourselves of the ideologies that we've been lied about. It's about white people letting go of your whiteness and your white privilege. It's about men letting go of your misogyny and your hate for women, because men, we hate women. And we have to admit that first before we can work through that. And we hate women by the way we voted in this election. It's about letting go of the things that we've been socialized and ingrained in so we can lean in and love each other the way I know we can. Let's stop believing all the bullshit. And as I ask you to vote in 2 years, let's also stop depending on those people to do all the work for us. I love y'all. I really do love y'all. I love this city. And we are far from perfect, but goddamn, I think we the best in Texas for sure. And I really think what we do in Austin in the next few years, the next few months, can be an example of what an anti-racist, anti-homophobic, anti-homophobic, anti-misogynistic city can look like. And I'm willing to do that work with all of you. So I love you, and Gabby.
One more time for Chaz. Let's hear it. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. Ooh, who gave me a microphone? Oh no. I want to thank you guys again so much for coming out here. Thanks also to Protect the Vote and DSA for the march earlier, for making sure everyone knows their rights when it comes to this election, because it is not over yet, but we know the work continues as the name of this event. And so we're going to have a few speakers up here as we enjoy this wonderful sunset and twilight together. Really quick, I just want all of you guys, just take a deep breath. You know, your shoulders a little tense, your jaws are a little clenched, your fists are, you keep your fists up, but that's fine. But just take a deep breath, you know, release, take a second. I had to take a couple seconds today. May have ugly cried on JP's shoulder today. But just take a second, make sure you're taking care of yourself, make sure you're staying hydrated. It's okay to stress eat this one time, but know that tomorrow is coming, that we are all in this together, and it's okay if you have some toxic people in your life right now. It's okay to let that go, because there are 10 more people who care about you and care about the work that we're doing, okay? So just remember that. Just remember that. It's gonna be okay. Don't cry, Gabby. Okay, so we have a few speakers coming up just to really hammer in the work that we need to do, policies that are coming up here. We want you to leave today with homework on even more ways that you can get involved, how you can stay active. Our goal is to make sure that as we go into the legislative session, as well as 2 years from now, you guys are armed with as much information as you can have. And of course, if you have more initiatives after this, feel free to talk to us, because as Chaz said, we are Austin Justice Coalition. We want to make sure that we have the support and that we're supporting other organizations that are doing the work on the right side of justice and on the right side of history. So don't forget that. So next up, Warren, you want to go next? All right, so we got my boy Warren here. He is also on the leadership team of Austin Justice Coalition. We got some new cakes today, so make sure you give him a nice compliment. Again, loving each other. And he is heading up our legislative session coming up. It's our 87th here in Texas. Whoop, whoop. So let's hear what he has to say. Thank you.
What up, y'all? Just want to talk real quick about local and state policy that we're working on. So, as y'all know, we are the lead on defunding APD, and that's what we are. I mean, we had amazing turnout for City Hall, which we've never seen before in the 4 years I've been doing this work. And so we got great momentum right now. We want to keep that same energy going into the state policy, into ledge coming up. So I'm gonna talk real quick about some of those. The George Floyd Act, that was announced by Chairwoman Sophronia Thompson and the Legislative Black Caucus. The Sandra Bland Act, which we had bipartisan support on in the last ledge session, and we are expecting it will going forward in this next session. And that's decrimming, or not decrimming, but making it so you can't get arrested for non-arrestable violations. So most of it's going to be Class C misdemeanors. Nobody should get cuffed for a tail light out. Reforms to police licensing and oversight. That's just going to, making sure we're always trying to increase the police accountability, because right now there is none, basically. I mean, cops can get away with whatever they want. We also want to get some legislation passed for either our elected city officials or our city manager to be able to fire the chief of police. Manly still needs to go. Part of decrimming, or not decrimming, but defunding the police is reallocating those funds to more civilian-based programs. Part of that is 911 and forensics. None of those programs should have like the bias of police woven into them. So part of defunding is making sure those are sufficiently funded. Housing reforms. We need to make sure people, not only are people that are homeless right now, houseless right now, but people coming out of the criminal justice system, they have no options, once they get out. And we make it too hard for them to find adequate housing when they're done, when, their debt to the state or whatever is paid, and now they're homeless because we make it too hard for them to get housing. So that's going to be part of our strategy statewide. And locally, education initiative, it's something we really need to tackle, like having equity in the education system. Right now there is not. I mean, they closed those 12 schools on the east side, or I think there was one over here maybe. And who did those schools service? Like, we really need to start looking at the equity, the lack of equity in the school system and the police on campus, like the school to prison pipeline. Like, locally we're going to start looking at that. Well, we're already looking at that. Also part of the defunding APD is funding a mental health response for mental health crisis. APD have shown repeatedly that 9 times out of 10, if you're having a mental health crisis, they're going to kill you. And so we don't need that. Somebody else can do the job. They're obviously not adequate to do it. They don't even want to do it. Complete communities, it's going to deal with the land code and public housing for the homeless. something we've been working on for years. It's kind of up in the air right now, the land code, because of COVID and everything, and the lawsuit. I don't know if the lawsuit's wrapped up, but I mean, we're still going to be on top of that. Yeah, that's everything. So there's a process to being involved with both local and state policy. So we have training November 22nd. It's going to coincide with our normal policy meetings, which they're twice a month on Sundays. So if you don't know how to get involved with us, you can find our info on our website. There's going to be a PDF going up with all the links to everything that I talked about. That's going to be on the Facebook event, and then you can just talk to me, and I can get you the information.
All right, look at that. Tons of information. Like I said, that's what we are here to do. What is on my phone? Thank you again, Warren, so much. Again, if you guys don't know, Austin Just Coalition, we're super heavy in the policy work, whether it's from mental health to housing and policy changes to police policy. Obviously, a lot of reformation with APD and transferring that power to local communities so that we can do our own policing and people don't get killed for everyday thing or mental health episodes. So that's what we're all trying to fight for, and partnering with other organizations coming up to this legislation session. We're very excited for that. So please look out, like Warren said, after this event tonight, in the event that we have on Facebook, we will have links from specific initiatives that you'll hear about tonight. So you'll be able to check those out, get signed up for trainings or sign petitions, whatever it is that you need to do, okay? Speaking of petitions, we have Eric Wick back here, yellow shirt, that's right, wave it up, yeah. He is with the Police Oversight Project, and right now they're working on huge initiatives and to do reformation initiatives, and really it's to do the transfer of power from the police department to our local city council officials. And that means whether that's firing Manley or getting rid of the 180-day rule, or really just bringing the power of the people so that the police and APD aren't an entity that are policing themselves, and we actually have a say in those policies that are more equitable for people. So they have a petition going on right now that will help with that transfer of power. If you have some time, please go up to their table up there. They'll be here until the end of this program, and we would super appreciate it because they're doing some really amazing work. So thank you again. Next up, we have King. King with Star Power Black Collective, amazing group that has recently come into formation, that's been working at AJC, really huge in police policy, just doing the community work. And so he's going to talk to you all a little bit and listen up. Thanks.
Hi everybody. My name is King. I found Star Power Black Collective, and we thank you, appreciate that. Our mission is to empower Black lives and amplify the movement for true Black liberation. And we want to do that through education and protest, essentially disrupting the cycle, because that's how we're going to get things done through a system that's not broken. If you went to my protest this past Friday, I did a speech on about how the system is not broken, it's working perfectly fine. The lack of empathy this country has, and I don't want to get too first I want to say thanks to AJC for putting this together. Can y'all clap? A lot of great stuff to follow. I don't want anybody leaving here with a chance of like, or the idea that, okay, there's nothing we can do. No, this is empowering. This is what I'm going to say. So I run an allyship, a study group every Thursday, and through Star Power Black Collective, and I told them that that the system is not broken. We had to learn and accept that this country was built off the disenfranchisement of Black people, of people of color. And we still have to understand and accept that that's even to this very day. or undecided voters and all that stuff. When I think of people that still voted for Trump, we were talking about Chaz was talking about Trump and how he still got a lot of votes. I'm still thinking Trump represents America and all he thinks about. The misogyny, the racism, all of that. His cabinet represents what this country is about. So until we accept that, I think as people that's over here right now, until we accept that, I don't think we're gonna get any work done. We have to accept the ugly truth of what's going on out there. And I have to accept it every day. And just like what we were saying, if Biden gets elected and becomes president tomorrow, yeah, people are still getting gentrified. Unarmed black people are still getting shot. You know, misogyny is still going on. And that's something that we need to change. Right now, we're living through a moment, not a movement. Star Power Black Collective started in a moment. What I'm trying to make this into is what I want Star Power to bring is to create a movement out of this, a lifestyle, until we get what we truly need and deserve, and that's true black liberation. And that's defunding the police, Austin Police Department, and that's going straight to abolishment after that, right? Abolishing the police. You know, that gives people a chance of coming out of prison, a chance for them to actually live their life, actually get back on their feet, right? Isn't that what people want to do when they get out of prison? Like, you know, start their life, not continue the cycle, not the prison re-entry cycle. And I want to talk about a little bit getting rid of the parties too as well. Yeah, what I mean by we have to accept what this country is about. We have to accept that the Democrats and Republicans they both have, let's say this. Whoever's sitting over here right now, their views do not align with us 110%, so I'm trying to get at. So I'm not here trying to talk to liberals. I'm not here to try to talk to Biden supporters. I'm over here talking to people. I want to talk to people that's here about true black liberation. That's what I'm here for. That gets lit. And one more thing I want to say is like this. I don't think this is about good or bad. I kind of just think that that's just what this country is. And I think we do have the power. We said be louder than the opposition. Shoot. Here right now, doing this right now, I mean, we are making it loud. We are doing it. We see how the right, how they are. They're going to say the sky is orange. And they really do. They say it all the time. Trust me, I met somebody. He told me that the sky is orange. He was a Proud Boy. Like legit, he said the sky was orange. Can y'all believe that? No, because I'm just joking around. I would never be a Proud Boy, just playing around. Never do that. No, but for real, they really do, like it's a trip. So we have to come together, and just like I said, you see all these organizations come together, Star Power Black Collective, AJC, other organizations, because we have the same views. And we have to understand and accept the reality of where we're in right now. I think that's how we can get true black liberation. That's what Star Power is about. True black liberation for all black lives. I hope y'all took something. Thank you very much.
Hello. Oh, we're back. Oh, we're back, people. Let's give it up.
Woo!
Let's hear it. Don't forget to shake it off. You know, let's wake up a little bit. We got a little bit of relax. Let's wake up a little bit because we're here to stay energized. I know I maybe took a 3-hour nap in the middle of work because my boss watching this. I don't think he follows me on Instagram, so. But I know we're here to make sure we keep up our energy. We're here to make sure that we put those bonds to work, that we are becoming a collective, that we're becoming a coalition, and that we are all aligning. I know when Austin Justice Coalition started doing this work over 5 years ago, we were little BB activists activists. There were so many people doing so many things. We all kind of knew that we wanted to do the same thing. We all kind of knew that we could work together. We just didn't quite know where to relinquish the power or how to connect or how to be truly genuine with what we wanted to do. And now I'm so proud and so excited to know that we have forged these bonds with community members, that we're making it look so damn good to be such a great activist. You know, this is what's in style. This is what it means to be a part of your community. This is what it means to cause meaningful change. And this is what it means to have the energy to wake up every single day and do what's right, okay? So I want you guys to hang on to that. You know, take your 3-hour naps, you know, kind of keep your job, but maybe not. And just really pull yourself together and know that there's someone out there doing the work that you really think is important. All you have to do is reach out and ask. All you have to do is Google justice and Austin Justice Coalition comes up. But so many other groups doing so many amazing things. So I just want to thank all the activists here in the room or the square who are out there day in and day out doing the work. Round of applause for those who have been doing it for a while. But also, I want to hear a round of applause for those who are going to go home and tap a friend and get them involved, okay? Can I hear a clap? Like, if you're not going to get your friends involved, if you're not going to agitate your family, if you're not going to do that, then let's rethink while we're here, okay? And that's not to scare you. But also the Proud Boys will probably be here scaring us and bullying us, so I'm going to bully you. Like, sure. Okay, let's do it. So, next up, we have Yasmin Smith, my girl. She is an amazing, amazing activist woman here, also a lawyer, hit her up. She works with Austin Area Urban League, and she's going to talk to you about this silver thread that we call doing the work, staying involved, being tenacious in everything that you're doing, and making sure that you're staying steadfast, because there are going to be people who will try to trip you up. You just got to hop on over it and skip down the road, all right? Here she is.
That was from my mama, the wipe down. So if you watching this, mama, I got the thing wiped down and I'm being safe. I got my double mask, all right? Hug nobody, I'm being safe. I wrote some stuff down because I knew if I didn't, my mind and my heart would take me all over the place. Because as Chaz said, I'm one of those black people that's scared to leave their homes right now. I'm scared to be here right now. That's why I'm moving all around and looking up on top of buildings. Hell, I'm scared to close my eyes at night because I'm very acutely aware that someone with badges will break down my door and kill me and nothing will be done. So bear with me. My name is Yasmin Smith. I am a proud, born and raised Austinite and the Director of Development for the Austin Area Urban League. If you don't know, the mission of the Austin Area Urban League is to provide tools to African Americans and underserved populations to build a foundation for social and economic equality. And we've stepped up to serve this community for over 40 years. Most recently, we have protected our community from this pandemic when our leadership lacked the foresight to do it themselves. However, though we understand the necessity of being boots on ground for our community, we also understand the importance of also combating the systems and policies that effectuate oppression. So today, as others wait, we choose to work. As votes are being counted, we stand here together in a mixture of terrified amusement and cemented resilience, a mixture of hope with an undercurrent of fear and anger and seemingly hopelessness. I know how you feel, because I feel it too. As a black woman in America, and specifically as a black woman who was raised in a predominantly white space that is Austin, I know this feeling all too well. It's like the cold holes in your stomach that burn for justice also stoke the smoke that grips your lungs and makes it impossible to breathe. It's like the stars in your eyes become shards of glass at any glimpse of light. It's like the overwhelming love you have for others seeps out of your heart and begins to poison your veins. It's like being in a lose-lose situation where the biggest and the most ultimate loss is our humanity. This is usually the part in my speech where I switch gears and begin speaking of hope, where I tell you it's all going to be all right and pat us on the back for small victories like the passing of Prop A that will funnel $300 million to Black, brown, and poor folks to stabilize them and beckon them back to the home they were displaced from. But today is not the day for that. Today is not the day to yet again focus on our determination and hope. No, not while 1 out of every 1,000 Black Americans have died from COVID-19. No, not when 6 out of every 10 Black households is facing financial problems since the pandemic, and almost a third of us cannot pay our rent and our mortgage. No, not today. Today is the day that I speak to the side of you that is still fearful, that is still angry, that is still seemingly hopeless. And I say, let the undercurrent of the ugly side of revolution be your push to come join this movement. So as you sit and wonder what our country will do, I urge you to commit to what you will do. Take that which you believe are your hindrances. Take your worries, take your wants, take your woeful indignation and use them as the pull towards equity and the push towards doing the work. No matter the results today, myself, my community, those that I love, those that you love will be in jeopardy tonight, tomorrow, the next day, and so on until we get to work. No one is going to save us but ourselves. Nothing is going to fix us without us doing the work. So pick a piece of humanity, clear a plat of land, and begin planting the seeds of love with us so that the future of this city, the future of this nature, the future of this world, the future of this very species can sit under the trees of love that we birth. The time for waiting is gone. It is time to get to work for the greater good.
Very good.
All right, just one more time. That was amazing. One more time. Thank you so much, Yasmin. Just always making you reflect on the fact that this isn't just about yourself. You have to actually do more for others than you do yourself. That's what this is about. If we were just doing this for ourselves, we might as well retire and just go home. Or we might as well just work on Wall Street, whichever comes first. But this is about doing more than yourself. This is bigger than yourself. This is about doing this for your community and for the 10 people around you who matter more than you. So just remind yourself of that. Thank you again, Yasmin. we have Junie. She's with Drop the Charges Coalition. And for all of us protesting, we know that this wonderful protesting season that is 2020, there has been a magnitude of backlash, of arrests, of aggression. And so their organization is doing the work to make sure that people who have been arrested and incarcerated just for exercising their First Amendment right, and usually peacefully, are liberated and are brought down in the criminal justice system. So give it up for Junie.
Hi everybody, my name is Junie. I'm with Red, which is a part of Drop the Charges Coalition. Red is a organization that organizes the defense of political prisoners and those who could potentially become political prisoners, like the people who've been arrested this summer in the fight for Black lives. We have been helping protesters by raising funds, building relationships with lawyers like Austin Lawyers Guild, and building broad support for people's cases. This summer, we saw tens of thousands of people arrested in the uprisings in May, protesting the horrific murder of George Floyd at the hands of the Minneapolis Police Department. And in Austin here, we saw about 200 people arrested, most of them charged with misdemeanors for being out on the street. And across the US total, we've seen about 300 people facing federal charges, charged by the Trump administration in efforts to scare protests. And some of those protesters, some of them even in Austin, are facing severe consequences, more so than racist police murders here in Austin and across the US. We've seen people face more severe charges for alleged property damage than actual murders that are still on APD's payroll and payrolls across the police departments in the US.
This is a wobbly cam.
And we want
We are
to be here to
downtown Austin,
stand up for
Texas,
those protesters and say that these charges should be dropped.
at
Right?
Woodbridge
We cannot
Park
allow the state
with
to
the Austin
oppress these
Justice
protesters
Coalition.
for standing up for what's right. We know that they've done nothing wrong, and we want to be able to continue to support these people. And as the elections are happening this weekend, we want to be able to let protesters know that as long as these protests go on, we will be here to support them. And that's why we are part of an organization or a coalition called Drop the Charges. So this summer we formed a coalition called Drop the Charges with different organizations across the US, across Austin, in support of these protesters. We used to say the number was 11,000, but now it's probably more than that. And so we know that with Delia Garza and Jose Garza taking office this coming up year, that our demands do not change, right? We still want these charges dropped. Delia Garza has admitted she will drop these charges. However, Jose Garza continues to stay silent on this issue, and we cannot allow that to happen. We need him to say what side he is on and keep him accountable the way we will with Delia Garza. And what you can do is go to Drop the Charges website, dropthecharges2020.org, and sign up and get involved with an organization that's on the coalition. Or if you are in an organization, you can sign up with our coalition. If you need any legal support, once again, I'm with Red, so if you need any kind of legal support, our website is red-aid.net. And if you are out there protesting and you have your phone on you and you see somebody getting arrested, you can call our hotline at 512-855-0756. We have a really close relationship with ALG, and we've been working with them and other lawyers across Austin. So if you need any kind of support, please come talk to us, or if you're interested in getting involved, you can come and talk to me. My name is Junie, and I'm here with Kat. So yeah, thank you so much for letting me speak, AJC, and thank you for listening to me. Thank you.
All right, thank you again, Junie, so much. I know personally, some of you guys may have attended the march we had earlier this year with Mike Ramos, for Mike Ramos. Say his name.
Mike Ramos.
Thank you. to like, hey, do we have
right?
security? Do we have
Yeah.
masks? Like, what's our exit plans? Like, it really has become almost a battleground just to exercise your right to walk down the street and protest what's wrong with your community. And so the work that this organization is doing is really important because they have our back. They're making sure we're being protected. But I really do hope, you know, as Chaz talks about, close your eyes, imagine a world where it's a place for the people, by the people. I really do hope that we're protesting things like, hey, I want better food that you're giving me for free, or like, my healthcare is okay, but like, can I get this or that? We're protesting just much more equitable items, and we're not having to gear up for World War III every time we hit the streets. So I'm hoping and I'm praying for a world like that, but until then, it's great to have these types of organizations in our back pocket. So thank you. I want pate. I don't want a souffle, you know? Is that better? Okay, perfect. And let me give a round of applause to Stefan here. Like, really, I think he did the most work today, setting up the sound. Hell yeah, because you gave me a microphone. You're gonna regret that. Okay, next up we have Seneca. He is with DSA, Democratic Socialists of America. Is that right? Yes. Looking at alternatives to make sure that we're making a more just country for the people and that we're listening to those voices. And so they're a wonderful partner. Our bond with them grows every single day. So I'm going to have them come up here and talk about some amazing things that they are working on.
I'd like to thank everybody who has managed to stay out this late. We know a lot of you have been here since before 3 o'clock, and a fair number of you may have been expecting to get jumped. We didn't. I'd like to take a round of applause for all of you asked for things that we didn't get today. And for the 30 or so people who decided that they were going to be the front line getting in the way of any of those potential meetings, especially Ramteen for helping to head our Marshall team today. In Sunrise, y'all guys also pulled out just tons of people for us and doing white supremacy. Have always been really great about putting their bodies on the line. And so many of us have had to put our bodies on the line for other people this summer because, frankly, our government wouldn't do it for us, right? We had to build the power to do that. And I want you to keep in mind what happened here in Austin. The amount that was reallocated out of APD's budget. Other cities that did something like that did it because their revenues collapsed. Austin is the only city where revenue stayed roughly neutral, but we still took a huge chunk out. And that was because of enormous pressure in the streets, because people like you got really organized and really rowdy. And the bad news is there's no naps. We don't get to stop being organized. So I'm going to talk to you today about a few projects, some of which we're doing with AJC, how you can get involved, and why it's important for us to work with each other if we're going to survive the literal plague that has killed a little over 230,000 of us. So the first is Eviction Solidarity Network, which we're doing in conjunction with BOSTA, Austin Justice Coalition, and other partners. So you may have noticed the economy is not doing great because of the huge global plague. And as a consequence, there are thousands of people who are on the brink of eviction. Even though it's technically illegal in most cases right now, landlords are still serving illegal eviction notices, and that will literally get people killed. Across the city, there are tons of people who don't know what means they already have right now to fight their own eviction, whether that's just their basic legal rights, whether that's organizing to put pressure on their landlords, and some of those landlords need to have the fear of God put in them, or whether it's as simple as putting pressure on local officials so that the eviction moratoriums we already have can extend longer. So to do that, we have our Eviction Solidarity Network. We're distributing literature directly to tenants. We're helping to map out the worst landlords in Austin and plan direct action campaigns in the event that we have tenants who are willing to work with us. That is going to be a ton of work, but it could save people's lives, and it's the kind of deep organizing that we need if we want to build locally. So that's thing one. Thing two, you may have also noticed, but schools are not normal right now. And we have these plans for reopening, but that still involves, as these cases are spiking, as deaths are growing every day, we're sending children back into schools where their teachers are more likely to catch it, and where we don't have the aid that we need for our teachers. Education Austin, tons of other groups have been working locally to try to secure better conditions, and Austin DSA, along with our statewide organization, have been working to help organize teachers, finding people who are willing to work around their working conditions, who will put pressure on their employers, and ultimately build the kind of structure that we need for real workers' power in those schools. So if you are a child, a parent who's a teacher, and you want to help make sure that the people in your schools are safe, come and talk to one of our people. And Madeline, if you're still there, probably wave the flag around a little bit. Or you can come directly to our website to find out more about it. But we're going to keep on organizing because this is not going away tomorrow. It's not going away next week. And our children, our teachers, our communities need this, right? Need to make sure that we're structuring our schools in a way that's safe, or it's just going to get worse. And then finally, we're also working with AGC on Austin is Safer When, which is basically a plan to combat disinformation locally around defunding, right? Around what happened this summer. Because I don't know if you noted, but like social justice movements in Austin have been working their ass off for at least since 2017 and winning and winning and winning. First on the police contract, decriminalizing homelessness, freedom cities, and they are coming for what we have done, right? There are 5 different plans in the legislature specifically to punish Austin for the reform that we did that was small to start. And that starts with disinformation. It starts with coming to try to recriminalize homelessness. And that means that people have to stay engaged. Because if we have the level of engagement we have this summer, all those efforts will fail inevitably. So that means talking to people to dispel disinformation. That means getting lists of people who are ready to work to defend Black lives so they can be remobilized again. So for that one, I can have one action item for you. If you haven't already, go to austinIsSaferWhen.com. There's a little petition there. The main point of that petition is first, we're able to show local officials that we have certain levels of support, right? That people are still engaged. And 2, when there's the opportunity for action at city council, at county court, at the legislature, we can let you know when that is, or when there is a protest like this. So we want you to get involved in those things. And ultimately, we want you to get in organizations, right? Obviously, I'm a DSA. I think it's a pretty good one. But if we want to keep on winning, right, under the conditions we're under, people have to be organized. And that means not just thinking that we need Black liberation, that we need universal health care, that we need police and prison abolition, but thinking of what the plan is, what the skills are to make that possible. Towards that end, we've already done one round of what we call an organizer night school, where we walk through the skills of how to plan out a pressure campaign, how to go about having a one-on-one organizing conversation with somebody who deeply disagrees with you about an issue. We're going to do those again. But get in an organization. Because the only power that we have is collectively, and not just who shows up to a protest one day, but who do you have relationships with who are willing to put their lives, inconvenience on the line to help out other people in their community, who have skills and a collective identity that will stand together when people come for us. The last project that we've been involved in, someone else is going to talk about because he's more directly involved. That's our restaurant organizing project. That is basically how we're trying to work with the many, many people in the service industry who are disproportionately getting sick and dying in this county, and whose working conditions are directly responsible for that. So I'd just like to pass it over to Chris here in a second. Thank you for letting me speak so long. I'm sorry that I have introduced your first white face of the night. Another one coming up. I promise there won't be too many more.
Hey everyone, I'm Chris. I'm here with the DSA and on behalf of the Young Active Labor Leaders with the AFL-CIO. I am one of the lead organizers of the Restaurant Organizing Project. We're trying to organize the service industry nationally and actually have one of the first service industry unions in this country. Unions are something that are very near and dear to me. We've been talking a lot about how, politicians have really failed us, and I think that's kind of all in our heads. They don't serve those who need to be served, and those who they do serve, they're not really in a position that they really need much help. We need help. Our disenfranchised and marginalized communities, they're the people who need help from politicians. Well, we've been completely fucked from this pandemic. I don't have a restaurant anymore. I worked in the service industry for several years. My restaurant is closed indefinitely. Many bar workers that I know, they don't have a place to return, and those who do have a place to return, they're out there every single day risking their lives under the coercion of not being able to feed themselves and not being able to pay their rent. That's wrong, and we've been trying to do something about it. We have protested Cornyn, we've protested Cruz. They don't care about us. They know we exist, but they really only care about Raytheon and drone striking Yemenis children. What else? So unions in particular, hey, if you have a union, please join it. It's really important. That's what democracy is. Workplace democracy is what a union is. Join your union. If you don't have a union, well, talk to an organizer. There's a great website that DSA, many of our members have been working on. It's called EWOC, Emergency Workers Organizing Commission. And so go to workerorganizing.org if you want to, get into organizing. Yeah, and please talk to me if you're a restaurant worker, a service industry worker, cafe, bar, hotel, any of those. I really would love to get in touch with you and really talk things out. There's so many things that we all share in common. We're used to shitty hours, bosses that don't care about our lives outside of work, wage theft, which people who groan and moan about the looting, well, they should look at where the real theft is. It's your boss is taking money from you. And then also sexual harassment and workers with disabilities just completely shoved to the side and seen as total nuisances to owners. So we're trying to make it better. This disproportionately affects Latin American and black workers, and that's wrong. And we're trying to do something about it. And the only way we can do something about it is if we come together, organize, and tell them to go fuck themselves.
Fiery up in here, the sun's down and the fire is out. Let's hear it, y'all. Oh! All right, so we are gonna start wrapping it up because it's obviously nighttime and we want to make sure that everyone stays safe. Unless you guys want to hang out and party, let me know. So the last person we're going to have speak before we wrap it up here is a new Senator-elect, Sarah Eckhart. She is definitely a person that we want to hold accountable, but luckily she's kind of on our side. So give it up for her and let's hear what she has to say.
For those of you just tuning in, we're in Woolbridge Park, Austin, Texas, downtown, with the Austin Justice Coalition, and they're about to wrap up their event today.
I'm really glad to be here too. In the interest of full disclosure, I am a politician. In the interest of full disclosure, I am a former prosecutor. In the interest of full disclosure, I am management. I am a woman, but I am the man. I need you, and we need each other. And that's why I'm here, and I think that's why y'all are here. And so I'm very, very happy to be here with you. We may not always agree, but a sign of a functioning and healthy democracy is when conflict is creative and not destructive. When we can find new paths, better paths, through listening to one another and arguing with each other. Arguing well. And so that's why I'm here tonight, and I'm very, very grateful to be invited up to the mic. Thanks. Be safe going home.
me hear you say, the work continues. Now that was weak. One more time. The work continues. Action. Just a little bit more. The work continues. Thank you. I hear you. I hear you. All right, we're going to have Chaz wrap it up here. But again, we'll be posting some links on things for you to stay involved with, for you to be passionate about, for you to keep that fire inside of you that you feel. Whatever your phone tells you today, whoever is elected, whatever happens, we still have work to do. We have people to keep accountable. Just like the senator just said, a healthy relationship is one where we're not agreeing on everything and we're pushing each other to be better. So you can imagine a world where we're all better, we're safer, we're happier. We don't have to worry about where our next meal is, if we're gonna get evicted, if we're gonna get arrested, if we're gonna get killed for just being a person walking down the street. And so I think that we can all agree that that's what we're here to do. So just remember, the work continues. Chess?
All right, appreciate y'all so much. Appreciate y'all so much. Where's DSA? DSA folks still here? Next one, I can't see. So if you want to march, I'm gonna ask DSA to take the lead of that. Other than that, if you want to be walked to your car, I'm gonna ask our volunteers with the vests to help people get to the car if they don't feel safe. But other than that, please get home safe. Yeah, and let's do this shit.
So we're in Austin, guys. We're downtown Austin, Texas, Woolbridge Park with the Austin Justice Coalition. Let's see if I can ask some questions here. One of the individuals spoke up there. She's Senator-elect.
Be involved in this, potentially go into a high school or college and speak, as well as once we kind of get in that case competition, maybe provide some kind of insight into developing that, and then we would love to kind of whoever did well in that to actually come to the Capitol and hopefully start turning into a future leadership.
I used to teach at the OBJs.
Really? I imagine from now until you go in, it's going to be a crazy time, so. Aaron Gonzalez. I'm at 713 Patterson. Yeah, you're aware?
Yeah, Gabby.
I used to work at...
I'm gonna see if I get an interview.
Without getting too much into it. Yeah.
Yep, I'm the events director for Austin.
Yeah, I went to A&M, went out to Colorado for about 3 years, worked for Lockheed, which obviously big kind of transformation in that time period, and then came back to Austin, and now I'm working for sales, kind of by day, by night, trying to figure out how we can organize election community, right, for this election, but also moving forward.
Wow, did you see the map to South Texas? God, that was fun.
So,
and so no matter the outcome of the election,
right, a lot of one of the things that we were saying is, hey,
and so now
investment there, not really that big a strides. in Austin, you don't know what's going on down here. And I'm from San Antonio. My father was born and raised in Donna. He was a migrant worker. And that's something that we're kind of talking about is I think it's great that we're doing this thing here, but Travis County is a problem, right?
I'm glad you mentioned how that's going to look, but it's still going to happen. There's still going to be
So for those of you wondering what's happening, we are at Woolridge Park, downtown Austin, Texas, with the HAC. They just had a small little rally that was preceded by a march that I was not here for, unfortunately. Ooh.
And that's right, politics of persuasion. I'm here, right? I want to learn from as many people as possible. The biggest thing I think moving forward is just going to be, there's obviously a need for it, but...
So I've been waiting not to interrupt the conversation of the senator-elect. But I just can't seem to get a good point where I can interject to ask them questions for an interview. So, for those of you that don't know what happened today, we just had a couple groups like the Democratic Socialists of Austin, the Austin Justice Coalition, a nonprofit that is dedicated towards, the equal rights of minority communities in Austin, along with Reddit, another organization that organizes with lawyers to help protesters who are undergoing charges related to the protests. Nonetheless, the event has already ended. There's just a couple speeches in a march that seemed to go rather peacefully. I did observe some police presence, but that was it. Hi, how are you? You are Senator-elect. Sorry, could you remind me of your name?
Sure, Sarah Eckhart.
Sarah Eckhart. It's awesome. Well, it's great to meet you. My name is Hiram Garcia. It's good to meet you. And I don't know if you might be familiar, likely not. I run a page, a journalism page. I just typically live stream any movements, events that are happening. As you might imagine, I also like to get some interviews and ask some questions. I see that you're about to leave, though, so I don't want to keep you much longer.
Feed my daughter. She's texting me saying, "Yeah."
No, I completely understand. No. But thank you so much. Maybe at some point, I'm looking to do a podcast type format, and I'm speaking with the mayor soon and stuff, and love to have you on. Yes, please. Be amazing.
I guess business cards aren't really COVID compliant.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. District 14. Sarah Eckhart. I'll be in contact, and hopefully maybe one day we could talk about some of the things, that are, ahead for us. There's so much to think about.
You got plenty of work to do.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much. You too. Have a great one. Well, guys, with that, I think that I'll be calling it a night. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope that, this was of some value to you at home. Again, we're at Woolridge Park here with Austin DSA and a few other organizations like the Star Power Black Collective, the Austin Justice Coalition, Reddit, Senator Eckhart, Senator-elect for District 14, state senator that is Remember, Texas is, I think, still represented by Cornyn and Ted Cruz on the national level. So there aren't many people left here. I believe they're all going home. So have a great day, guys. I love you all. Thank you so much for joining. Have a good night.